So why did I start to retwist my hair? I get that question all the time, and it's a valid question because in the microlock community, the majority of people interlock their hair, and that method was made popular and really researched by the Sister Locks brand. Back in either the early 2000s or 1990s, I'm not sure, but it's a long time ago. And so that is really the method that has been tried over and over, proven to work. Really, that structure of the interlock is what is the foundation of many people's microlocks, and choosing to do something different can be daunting. It can be a little scary, and like when people see that, it's like, oh my gosh, like, how are you doing this? Why are you doing this? Is your hair going to break off? And I decided that I wanted to try retwisting, mainly because your girl was tired. I was exhausted. I was going through some health challenges at the time, reproductive health mainly. I had, multiple pregnancies, multiple losses. In that time, I was very tired. I had no energy to be putting so much time into doing my hair. If you know anything about DIY microlocks, it's that it takes hours to interlock all of your hair, especially if you have 300, 400 plus, 500 locks. I know people with 700 locks. It can take hours, 8 hours minimum, easily 12 hours, especially if you're just getting started in the game. And so that can that amount of time is just exhausting physically. At some point it became too much for me, and I started to really have a bad relationship with my hair, in terms of, like, I would dread it so much that I was like, I'm just gonna cut all my hair off. And for me, that was not that was not healthy for me. And I was like, okay, well, if I'm gonna cut off all my hair, I might as well try something different before I cut it. If it doesn't work out, I can always cut my hair later. So that is why I decided to try retwisting, because I just didn't physically have it in me anymore to be doing the interlocking process. And also, I didn't have the finances to pay somebody else to do my hair. And plus, just a little bit of, stylish trauma. I didn't want to go through the process of finding a loctician that I could trust, and, the finances as well. So that is why I decided to start retwisting, and I decided to start researching it. I started stalking Fret Naturals, Miss Alicia James. Those are the only two women with microlocks that I know of who exclusively retwist, meaning that is the only way that they maintain their locks. So there's just not a lot of information out there, so it can be scary, and I understand why, it's kind of a big deal to see someone with as many locks as I have doing the retwisting method. Will my locks break off? I get that question so often, and I'm just going to be speaking from my experience with my hair. I am not an expert loctician. I've been doing my husband's hair, my bonus daughter's hair. They both have traditional locks. My mother-in-law's hair, just family's hair. My sister has had locks for 8 years, and then my own lock journey for the past year. And I can say from my personal experience that breakage is not caused by retwisting alone. So retwist, the majority of the time, the retwists are not the problem. The issue is incorrect technique when retwisting. So that would be too tight retwisting, too much tension, such that you're causing breakage just like from that. Another reason would be too often that you're retwisting, so just constant manipulation, which is causing thinning and then breakage. So too often. The products that get used, a lot of times there's the buildup of these products that are really heavy. I don't know if you've seen, like, stylists put on like that really heavy holding gel. It almost feels like crazy glue, and you can see how tight that hold is, and just the buildup from that can cause breakage. So those are the main culprits that I find is the cause of breakage, and not just retwisting in and of itself. Now, retwisting microlocks is a different thing, because they are so small, and so the reason that interlocking is super popular is because it provides that structure for the lock, almost like a braid. Whereas retwisting, it's not the actual coil that turns into the lock; it's just the shed hair that turns into a lock. A lot of people don't know that, and they think the coil is turning into a lock, but that's not true. As soon as you wash your hair, the new growth, the coil opens up, and then it's not locked, that portion of it. It's the shed hair that combines together, mats up, kind of stacks up onto each other, and creates a lock. So with tiny locks, I guess the concern is that it's not enough structure, and your locks will eventually break off. Now that you're not going to know if your locks are going to break off in 3 months, 6 months. That is going to take maybe like a year or 2 years to even see, is my hair going to break off because I'm retwisting? Like, can my hair sustain, like, can my tiny lock sustain itself without additional structure, such as interlocking? Now, I see people who freeform locks. My husband has some freeform locks that are really small. And, you know, like Front Naturals and Miss Alicia James, their locks are not as small as mine, but they're still quite small. And what I have found is that their hair is not breaking off. You know, their hair is full, it's healthy. But I think that you have to be careful that your method, your products, your tension, all of that is such that you're creating the best environment for your small locks to survive and to thrive. I know people with sister locks who interlock and their hair is breaking off. Okay, like they're interlocking, they could be doing it incorrectly, or their hair is really fine and they're doing it too often. So I honestly feel like the same issues you're going to run into with interlocking would be the same with retwisting, would be the same as with interlocking. Now, because no one barely does this, like I only know of 2 people, this method is not researched, so it is a bit experimental, but I love that, honestly. When I got locks, I wanted to have the most unique, amazing locks on planet Earth. And for me, you know, I wanted to feel like I had the most unique locks on planet Earth, and retwisting is providing that for me because nobody does it. You know, no one, at least that I know of, with hair as small, with locks as small as mine. I know there's people out there, I just don't know of them. So yes, that's what I can say about will your locks break off. And me personally, I have not found any adverse effects. In fact, it looks like my hair is thicker, to be honest. My hair feels thicker. I really love it. Honestly, I have not experienced anything negative. And actually, when I interlock my hair, the newly interlocked portion is actually thinner, looks thinner than, and it's tighter and more tension than when I retwist. So I don't know. If you're going to retwist your hair, you just have to realize that you are a little bit on your own. There's not going to be a lot of information on it. Am I going to continue retwisting? So some of you might not know this, but I do not exclusively retwist. I am hybrid. So I basically interlock my hair every 3 months and then I retwist every 4 weeks. Now, the reason I switch back and forth, and people always ask, like, well, that's going to cause inconsistencies and breakage. But actually, it is not, because when you retwist your hair, as soon as you wash it, it unravels. So that new growth you have is not locking. It takes upwards, I mean, for me, it takes upwards of 3 to 4, 5 months for that new growth to actually start locking. And it's the shed hairs that lock. Okay, it's not the actual twisted coil that locks. It's the shed hairs that shed in the normal the normal shedding cycle. They shed, they mat up together, and they, stack up and eventually turn into that lock. And so at the 12-week mark is about where I've noticed that my hair the shed hair starts to begin to mat up together. And because I do not want my locks to form through the matting of the hair, only I want it to be the matting around the interlocking. I have to interlock it before 12 weeks or right at 12 weeks so that all of the new growth is interlocked as opposed to interlocking and retwisting, which that inconsistency I've heard can cause potential breakage down the line. I haven't experienced it because I haven't done it. So as far as I know, like, that's what people say. I've not seen it or heard anyone who experienced it before, but that's what I've heard people say to me in concern for me retwisting my microlocs. So yes, at the 12-week mark is when I noticed that my shed hairs will begin to, like, feel a little bit matted. And so before that happens, I interlock the entirety of the new growth. And the way you might wonder, like, how do I track my new growth to make sure, like, my hair isn't locking and I don't know? Well, first of all, it's really easy to feel where the interlock starts because it has like a certain hard, I don't want to say hard, but like stiff or bumpy feel. And then it's new growth, right? That is just, whatever your texture hair is, like a fro. And then where it starts to mat, you'll feel like this little, almost like a little clump. I don't know if you've ever experienced buildup and there's like a little clump. So if you notice that it's starting to happen, then you waited too long. I really had to time it, measure it, just see, like, and I had to measure it by the new growth I had. So if I retwisted at 4 weeks and I had a little over half an inch or 3/4 of an inch, then the next time I went to retwist in 8 weeks, I should have double that. I should have an inch or an inch and a half. So I had to keep making sure I had the correct amount of new growth. If it's less than that, or it's not consistent, it means that some of my hair, so say I went at 8 weeks and all the new growth I had is half an inch, that means half an inch of my hair has locked. So that didn't happen for me, but I'm just explaining the logic behind it. If there were any locks where that little, matted clump started to happen, it was super easy to separate. I mean, it's not locked, it's only been 12 weeks. So with my texture, so I just kind of open up the new growth and it like comes apart, or I could take like the interlocking tool and just like kind of pick it a little bit and it would completely open. The entirety of my locks are interlocked, okay? I do not have any portion that is locked because of the retwisting process. So in fact, my locks are similar to somebody who say goes 10 to 12 weeks between interlocks, between interlocking sessions. That's not always advisable, just because your hair can start to break off if you snag it, or depending on the density of your hair. So it's not really recommended to go that long, but I know people who do. So that would be comparable to my lock journey. And the reason I'm retwisting in between instead of just letting it kind of do its thing for 10 to 12 weeks is because I don't want it to snag and start breaking off. Like, I really need that structure to hold my locks while, like, I need the new growth to have a structure to keep that lock strong, so that it's not, tangling up, marrying together in between, the interlocking sessions. What products do I use to retwist? So I've been using the locking gel from Talia Wajid. I don't know if I'm saying that right, but that's how I always call it. I'll probably put up a picture I'll probably put in a picture so you can see. I think it's called Lock It Up Gel. And honestly, the main thing I look for in a locking gel is it water-based? And I want it to be water soluble so that I'm not getting buildup when I wash my hair. Like, I want to be able to wash it out easily, but I do want it to have a little bit of a hold. So that's the only gel I've tried for myself. I've tried other gels on other people that worked. There was one called like the Jamaican something. I'll have to look it up, but I did that on my mother-in-law, and that is also water soluble, and it works really well. I try to avoid any waxy pomade, thing, or anything that feels like edge control. I stay far away from it because I do not want buildup. I do not want lint attracted to my hair. I would rather have less hold and healthy locks than super hold and lint and stuff in my locks. We do not want buildup over here. So how long do retwists last? Okay, so for me, and I know I am an anomaly, my retwist lasts over 4 weeks. I do not work out. I do not go out in the rain. I wear a shower cap when I get in the shower. So I'm not like at the pool every day. I did go to the pool a couple times and get wet, but like I didn't dunk my head underwater. And I'm going to insert pictures and videos so you guys can see. Like, I'm not lying. My hair looks good after 4 weeks. Like, it has expanded, yes. Like, there's a little frizz, yes. But like, my hair's looking good. A solid 4 weeks into my retwist. Honestly, it's the exact same thing as interlocking for me. Because like, I would interlock my hair, and you know how when you interlock, it's not really slick looking. It just looks like there's no new growth, if that makes any sense. It looks tight to your head, but not like you necessarily just got your hair done. Well, for me anyway. So my retwist, I feel like, looked better at 4 weeks than my interlocks did for whatever reason. And honestly, after I washed my hair, the majority of my hair went back into the retwist. And I was shocked when I saw this. I didn't know what would happen because I typically would wash my hair and retwist immediately after. And so I didn't know what would happen if I washed my hair and I didn't retwist. Well, I washed my hair. At 12 weeks, I washed my hair, and then it was time to interlock. And obviously, I'm dragging my feet. I'm taking, a long time to get it all done. And so a lot of my hair, I noticed when I looked at it, it went back into the form of the retwist. And I think it's because I have coily hair. And so it naturally wants to coil. It was coiled for so long that, once I got out the shower and went on my business, it just went right back up into a coil. I was so shocked when I saw that, when I discovered that. I actually had to uncoil most of them to interlock. So it was hilarious to me. And honestly, seeing that made me wonder if I even wanted to interlock. I was like, you know what? I could just leave this. I could just be a retwist girly and never interlock. And I really considered it, but then after I finished my interlocking, I was like, I don't know, because I really do like the fact that all of my hair is interlocked, and that it's like that consistency, and just knowing that it's like a bit of a safety net, because I know that even though I'm retwisting, I'm not relying on the retwist. The interlock is still there, that structure. So I will keep you guys posted if I decide to become an exclusive retwist girly. Okay? What clips do I use? So I use the small clips, the small duck bill clips, and the large duck bill clips. You can see my video on my tutorial on how to retwist your hair if you want more details about that. So I'll just like kind of put it up there, the link to it. But yeah, I just use the regular clips. How long does it take to retwist? Nowhere near as long as interlocking, that much I will tell you. For me, it takes me about 3 hours, 4 hours, and I'm not like, I haven't done it so many times that I've gotten to be an expert at it, but like, it is so quick compared to interlocking. I can literally I put my daughter down for a nap, and I was 3/4 of the way done with my hair before she woke up 2 hours later. So that shows, like, that alone just took a weight off of my shoulders because I'm not having to like schedule entire weekends or weeks of free time to my hair. Like when I interlock my hair, all my free time would be interlocking hair, and no, I just couldn't do it anymore. And now I'm just going to do a quick 360 because you know we always want to get into the hair, get into the scalp. So here we go. Let's do it. Yeah, so I can't think of any more questions. Those are the main ones that I get asked. If you have a particular question, go ahead and leave it down in the comments below. Thank you so much for watching my video, and I hope this has been super informative. Thank you to my community for supporting me in my wild ventures. I'm gonna keep you guys updated on the health of my hair.